This week on the podcast, Carrie and I are doing a full, in-depth review of the Muppets Haunted Mansion available on Disney+. Of course we had to, right? As Haunted Mansion fans and Muppet fans, we really needed to talk about whether this pairing came together well. So, stay tuned, foolish mortals, to hear all our thoughts. You're listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. Hi, I'm Francine.
And I'm Carrie.
We're two best friends who can't stop talking, usually about Disney stuff.
Sometimes we have fascinating guests, and sometimes it's just us. But it's always positive and fun.
We're happy to have you join our chat. Thanks for listening, and let's get started. All right, Carrie. So how excited are you to be talking about this?
Well, finally. That's all I can say is finally there's something about the Muppets that you want to talk about.
Oh my goodness. I wasn't sure. I heard about all this hoopla about the Muppets Haunted Mansion, and I was like, yeah, all right, I'll watch it. You know, I like the Muppets. You know, we talk like I don't like the Muppets. I like the Muppets. I think they're funny. But we gotta talk about the Muppets Haunted Mansion.
It's awesome.
Just released on Disney+, so it's in time for Halloween. But it's kind of like the perfect combination of our two worlds.
It is. Absolutely.
I don't know that they could. So we need to stop here. Anybody listening, if you have not watched the Muppets Haunted Mansion on Disney+, pause this episode, go watch it, and come back to it. Because I know, Carrie, you say there's no spoilers. Like, really, what are we going to... I just want us to be able to talk freely about it. And I don't want to spoil it for anyone if you have not watched it and intend to. Because there's certain things that we're going to talk about that, you know, are only going to be funny and endearing if you see them yourself before you see the spoiler or hear the spoiler. So...
Right.
Right? So, yes, if you haven't seen it, pause this, go watch it, and then come back. It's like less than an hour. So, Carrie, the morning this dropped on Disney+, I don't think I had even got up for work when I got a message that you said you'd already watched it.
Yeah, of course. Well, I was up past midnight, and I tried to see if it was on after midnight, but I guess it drops like maybe... Like
4 in the morning or something.
Yeah, or a different time zone. So I was like, dang it.
Dang it. It wasn't there. But you watched it as soon as your eyes opened that morning.
Mm-hmm. And then I watched it again.
And again.
I watched it twice before work.
Twice before work. And I kept saying to you, don't say nothing because I'm going to watch it tonight after work.
Yeah, I watched it twice before work. And, because it was awesome.
How many times are you up to now?
I don't want to divulge that information.
Why is this you don't want to divulge? I'm happy to. I'm
kind of nerdy.
Well, I'm not a Muppet person, and I can tell you that I just finished watching it for the third time.
I've watched it 6 times straight through, paying attention, and I've ran it in the background while I was at work that day at least twice.
Okay, so let's talk about it, Carrie.
But I love Muppets, so that's different. That's why I watched it so much. It's just awesome.
So this story centers around Gonzo, which I think shocked me a little bit. When I heard the Muppets Haunted Mansion, I guess I just assumed all the Muppets would be, and they're all part of the story.
And they were.
They're part of the story. But the real stars are Gonzo and Pepe. Mm-hmm. And I gotta tell you, like, Carrie, I laughed out loud more times than I really want to. Like, all 3 times. Like, I thought the third time when I watched it, I thought, okay, it's not gonna, like, maybe I could just pay attention and not laugh. But I couldn't. Like,
you little Muppet lover, you.
I'm in love with Pepe. I am in love with Pepe.
Well, I don't know any other Muppet that could have went on this adventure with Gonzo. Like, you needed, like, Gonzo's fearless because he's the great Gonzo. Like, and he's a weirdo. Like, everything that's weird he thinks is cool, right? So he's excited to go into the scariest house ever for the night, and And Pepe is the total opposite. So
the premise of the story is
that Gonzo has to stay in the Haunted Mansion overnight, and he needs to survive staying in the Haunted Mansion overnight. And he is excited about going to the Haunted Mansion because his idol, this magician called the Great MacGuffin, disappeared 100 years ago on Halloween night in this haunted mansion. So he received an anonymous invitation to spend the night in this haunted mansion on the 100th anniversary of MacGuffin disappearing. His disappearance. So Gonzo, the weirdo he is like stoked to get this opportunity.
He's like so over the moon. They even sent a limo for him to take him to this party.
And he brings Pepe with him.
He brings Pepe.
Who is a king prawn.
Yes. So Pepe thinks this is a party. That all the famous people are going to be there. The peoples. So the Beyoncés, what did he say? The Beyoncés and the Bart Pitts. He was just, he's absolutely hysterical. And Carrie, in the car. So like even before it starts, in the car, this is a spoiler, but the details in this thing are incredible. Mm-hmm. He's texting his girlfriends, Pepe is, trying to
find a date
for this party. And they show him on the phone, and he's like, oh, my girlfriends are texting me. And on the text messages that you can see, if you pause it, you can see them. It says, blocked, go away, and who dis?
Who dis? And the thing is, and Pepe is a lady's prawn, right? Like Pepe is always like, he's a party guy. He wants to be where the action is. Like Gonzo's the total opposite. Gonzo has been dating Camilla, the chicken,
right, forever,
for decades, right? So
I wonder why he didn't bring Camilla.
I don't know. Maybe
she was afraid.
She's at the party. She's at the Halloween, the Muppet Halloween, the other party that he's missing out on. And I guess that's the big part, like another part of the story. So the Muppets are having a party, a Halloween party. Every year they have a Halloween party, the whole Muppet clan. And Gonzo and of course Gonzo's invited, but he's decided to skip the Muppet party because he's got this once in a lifetime opportunity to go to this haunted mansion where the Great MacGuffin disappeared. Like I said, He's a weirdo. He thinks that's the best night ever that he's had this opportunity. So all the Muppets are back at the Muppet house party, having a Halloween party, all dressed up in their costumes and having fun, and everybody's there but Gonzo and Pepe.
And okay, so let's talk about the mansion itself. When they get to those gates.
Well, the first thing that's the first gasp I had. Really, because I was giggling in the limo when the text messages and all that stuff. But when they pulled up to that mansion, my first oh my god, I can't believe they did it, was that mansion. From my first instinct response was that's the original artwork from the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah,
I was like, I can't. Of course they did that, and that's what they should have done. So. Yeah. It reminds me of the early artwork. I don't know if it's exactly the same, but it reminds me of the early artwork, or even as
it looked a little Disneylandish.
Yeah, I think it's the original Disneyland artwork that they made back before that even got close to being what the Haunted Mansion is now. But also though, you remember they had the Disneyland records. They recently, the Haunted Mansion Disneyland records, and they recently brought them back and were selling them in the parks. The artwork on it, because the artwork is kind of the same, even the same colors and the same in the end of the show when it's the sun's coming up, kind of the rainbowy, purpley, whatever colors. It reminded me more of that too.
Yes.
I'm I couldn't but I don't know if it's exactly like that, but it's definitely very close. And if you're a Disney fan and you know any of that stuff, I think your first thing in your brain is oh my goodness, I
can't believe it.
It's not it's not our haunted mansions, but that we know of today, but it's definitely,
yeah,
that
they totally did it justice. They kept the Muppets and who they are and all that great stuff, but the Haunted Mansion is so true to the Haunted Mansion. If you are a Haunted Mansion fan, you will be amazed at the details they worked into this program. Like, it's insane. It's insanity.
And the same with them, like, I think the same level is the Muppet fandom. Like, it is absolute true Muppet fandom and Haunted Mansion fandom. So when they arrive, I don't know if you can see it at the start or if you see it at the end, but you know how, this was on the Disney Parks blog or whatever, the number of the house is 924, which is Jim Henson's birthday, September 24th.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
I think it's 924.
That's awesome.
But it's sort of like, you know how with Pixar, they always put the CalArts room everywhere, right? The 118 or whatever the heck it is. I can't remember the number exactly, although I should know it. It's like that sort of an Easter egg right at the front, putting that number as the house number, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So paying homage to Jim Henson. And Carrie, like, so right when they get there, and they walk up to the mansion, and they're outside, and they see the tombstones. Oh, so, yeah. Like, that song that he sings, I want to download and listen to all the time, because I love it. And he's singing about the tombstones, and it's a reference to all of the great tombstones outside of the Haunted Mansion. Mm-hmm. But you know what kind of struck me? I didn't realize until after I watched it the first time. I watched the whole thing and kept thinking, I know that person's face. There were stars in this program that I knew, but I didn't place. Like Alfonso Ribeiro.
Yeah.
I did not know that was him. I watched the whole thing, and then at the end, I'm like, I gotta do like an IMDb, see who was in this. And I'm like, Ed Asner? I didn't realize that was him. Pat Sajak?
Like, I know, Pat Sajak. What? I couldn't believe that was the one I was most surprised for. I'm like, is that like...
I didn't recognize him. And Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
Since when is Danny Trejo in a Muppet Disney movie?
Is. Like, he's in Muppet things. He was in the Muppets Most Wanted.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
He's kind of a Muppet regular, I think. I wasn't surprised by him. I was definitely surprised by Pat Sajak. So I guess that scene there too, like, because the one thing I kind of noticed was that, not kind of noticed right away. I kind of assumed that it was going to follow the Haunted Mansion, the ride, right? Like, did you not make that assumption too? Like, especially when you get to the, like, when they're in the graveyard and they're like, you know, they're going through all of the tombstones and singing songs and introducing us to them. I was like, oh, this is like when you walk into the ride. And then I was thinking, oh, it was almost like that's like because there was a song and dance, sort of. That was like when you're walking into the ride, and also at the end of the graveyard scene when they're celebrating. It's like those two experiences of the ride are all in that, or sort of that section right there, where they're introducing us to the gravedigger and the doggy.
Yeah,
it's like,
and then they're singing, so and Pepe and Gonzo are kind of swaying to the music. Like, it was just, it was perfection. It was perfection. And then when they get to the door of the Haunted Mansion, like, the stretching room. Like, they had every element of the Haunted Mansion in this episode.
Pretty much. But they Muppified it. So
they Muppified it.
So that, like, I like, up until this point, like, I totally loved the way the Haunted Mansion looked. And then when we opened up the door and Will Arnett's there, and he says, "Welcome, foolish Muppets." And they're like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'll be your ghost host," or whatever. Like I just couldn't believe it that they were going that way, that they were
all in.
That they were all in, and then they go into the stretching room. And that is when I had my very first, like, laugh out loud, is in that stretching room. Because I think I was in, like, total awe of, like, I can't believe this is Muppets in the Haunted Mansion, and it's awesome.
I'd already laughed out loud, like, three times by
I hadn't laughed out loud yet until they get into that stretching room. And that goat screams. Like, when that goat screams, I laughed out loud. Like, I don't know why, because that is probably the last type of thing that I would laugh at out of all of that, but that made me laugh out loud.
It's so funny.
That was my very first laugh out loud, and and part of the reason, like, that goat is an old Muppet. Like, everything about this Muppet Wise is amazing, but the details in that stretching room are like, I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm dead. I'm died. I'm the last ghost. I'm the 1000th ghost. Like, at that point, I'm like, I'm done. Like, just, it can't get any better than this. Like, the stretching room with the portraits of, like, Crazy Harry and his dynamite and Janice as the
ballerina,
the tightrope walker. But the best part in this entire scenario is that, I don't know that if you noticed, but the sconces, the gargoyles in the room, are the Mana is the Mana guy.
No, they are not.
You know, Carrie, the guy that goes Mana do 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 do. So the actual face is the Mana guy, and then the candles are the little guys that go do 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 do, like the little they're called snowiths or snoths or whatever the heck they're called. That's the gargoyles. Like, Carrie, that there is Muppet perfection. Like, you can't get, and like those details, like, again, I'm like, at that point, the goats are like, I've died because the goats made me laugh, but I've also died like just in that stretching room alone. The fact that they've made those stretching room portraits, 3 of them, not 4 of them though, right? There's only 3 of them.
There was only 3.
The fact that they made the portraits Muppets. and those gargoyles or sconces, whatever we're going to call them, unbelievable. Like, they just need to replace them in the Haunted Mansion with that, because that is perfect.
Carrie, I watched it 3 times because I wanted to look for details. I can't believe, like, that's how many details are in this thing. I totally missed that.
Like, when they walk, I'm trying to think. The Mana guys, like that's all of the gargoyles around the room, and I'm having a hard time remembering, like,
at that point. But don't you remember? That's where Gonzo says, "I just realized there's no windows and no doors in here."
And I know he's like, "You're ruining the Joker. You're ruining the ambiance,
the movement."
And they say no flash photography, because that's the thing with this. So even at that point, we realize that it's the attraction, because when we walk in and he says, "I'm your ghost host," blah blah blah, and he says, you know, he makes a little quip about no flash photography, and they use the same words that are in the stretching room. Like, the way that he's walked them through it is exactly like the stretching room. And you're like, it can't get any better than this. This is awesome. But when they're walking in through that part, though, is when they walk through, and, like, you know, me and my brain, like, I can't help doing this. I'm like, this is the Disneyland Haunted Mansion, right? Like, in my brain, I'm like, is this the layout and the walking through of the Disneyland Haunted Mansion? But they're walking through the hallways they have the portraits on the wall, and one of the wall is like Yolanda the rat, and she turns into, like, Yolanda the skeleton rat, and you know, the pirate ship or whatever the heck's on the wall, and they have the busts that move. Like, so when you walk into the Disneyland ride, those portraits are on the wall, and at the end of the walkway is those busts that the one where Beaker and Honeydew are in the movie when they're talking is right there. So for me in my brain, I'm like, this is the Disneyland Haunted Mansion too. I can't wait to say, Fran, it's a Disneyland Haunted Mansion.
Oh my gosh, it is. Because at that point, I'm still thinking through of walking through. Like, I'm thinking about, like, is it truly going to be like is the story going to be a walkthrough of the ride? Like, which at this point I'm thinking it's got to be, right? Like, what else could they do? Because it could be not. Like, they could do, you know, they could have done something totally different, I suppose. But I guess I shouldn't have been surprised. But I was getting, like, I'm surprised. Excitement. Because at this point is when I realize it's not going to be like a cop-off sort of, like how they did Jungle Cruise, right? Like, they did Jungle Cruise, they threw a couple of rides, a couple of jokes, backside of water, blah, blah, blah. But it really didn't feel like the Jungle Cruise. At this point, when I get in when they take us into the stretching room, I realize that they are going to do one of the best attractions at Walt Disney World. They're going to do it justice. No flash photography, please. Like, it couldn't have been any better. Yeah. Like, at this point, I'm, like, so excited to experience the Haunted Mansion with Gonzo and Pepe, who is still looking for the famous people.
And I think he's given up on finding a date at that point because he's already in the building. And and also, when they're in the building, once they're in the Haunted Mansion, like the Haunted Mansion attraction music is there. Like it's,
and the
it's
wallpaper,
like
everything.
In that early area, in the early scenes, it's definitely the music because he's getting them in the stretching room and doing whatever. But I think as the ride or the special goes on, like we hear little bits and pieces of the music throughout.
Yes.
Maybe not so obvious as the beginning, but I think we do hear it. We do hear it throughout, which is pretty darn cool. The like all the little Muppet details, like the hallway wallpaper.
Yes.
Instead of having the like the creatures that are in it, it's got like Beaker, Pepe,
Yeah.
Gonzo, and I think maybe the little side animal, the ones that stick out, like that might be Uncle Deadly. That's what I'm wondering. Like it could be Uncle Deadly's face, the ones that are kind of pointed to the side. But like who could have thought that wallpaper could have gotten any better? Like really,
I know.
Like it was the best wallpaper on earth, and then all of a sudden they made it a Muppet version.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and those, like, Carrie, when you talk about the pictures, like they really took the pictures in the hallway in the Haunted Mansion and just Muppified them.
Yep.
But you could totally tell. So if you were not a Haunted Mansion crazy person like we are, and you'd been on the Haunted Mansion once or twice, you wouldn't have noticed those things as being from the attraction, but you still got the whole gist of the story anyway. Like, it didn't ruin the story for anyone that isn't a huge Haunted Mansion fan, and it totally, like, blew it out of the water for those of us that are.
Mm-hmm. Every little detail. Like, that's the thing. They just didn't, they Muppified it, but they made it exactly the way that it needed to be to match the Haunted Mansion.
Yes!
One of my most favorite things, like, the Manamana gargoyles is... I
gotta go back and watch again, yeah.
Is one thing. Like, that is, like, awesome. But the next thing that I saw that is almost, like, just is equally as awesome is on the doors in the hallways. So on the doors, they have, like, the knockers. I've been trying to zoom in to see what the handle is. Like, it looks like a serpent, so maybe it's just a plain serpent. But the face... The face on the door is that big. I think I talked about him on an episode. Maybe his name is Dog Lion, or I don't know if you say different, but like it's like Dog Lion. It's that big, crazy, like Muppet that looks that humongous tall Muppet that's got the horns, and he's like, for some reason when I was a little kid I just loved him, and his face is the face that's on the door. Like
no
they
way.
Put that detail on the doors.
No
like,
way.
Unbelievable. Like I don't know what, I think that the sconces or the gargoyles make sense with it being Phenomena like that there. I was just like, oh my goodness. Like, I want that door. Again, how could they make a door any better? And they did, in my opinion. I had no idea something that I love so much as the Haunted Mansion could become more beloved. I could love more. And this is what's happened. But like that door is... Oh my goodness.
It's crazy.
And I'm having a hard time seeing the I'm having a hard time like zooming in on some of the things to see the detail even further to see if there's even more. But yeah, that's amazing. And then the one thing with that door too is that the episode later on when Gonzo's in the room, like towards the end when he's in the room and he's dealing with his fears or whatever, the skulls on the back of the door have hair on them. So the skulls on the front of the door just look like regular skulls, or the skulls on any of the other doors seem to have regular hair, and the skulls on that back of that door have hair. And I was kind of wondering if they were like Jim Henson skulls or something. That's the other thing with the door. I don't know, like maybe I'm seeing into it too much, or maybe I don't know, or maybe I swear I've been trying to zoom in to see if those skulls, because that's part, like that door is very important to the story. Like,
it is.
I don't know if those,
and when each of those skulls breathe
out. And that's what lets him free and lets him not be the
old
for
man.
One more ghost, the old man. But anyways, so that door and the door and those gargoyles are like that. Really, they could have just given us Muppet fans that, and we would have been like, and
you would have been happy. But they didn't. They gave us so much more.
Yep.
So after that, we go into Madame Leota's room.
Yes, the seance room.
The seance room.
Madame
But it's not
Pigota.
This part cracked me up. So instead of Madame Leota's head, it's Miss Piggy as Madame Pigota.
Like, who else could it be? Like, this,
of course,
this was
because
why didn't this get made years ago, decades ago?
right?
Really, it makes so much sense now that we see it in front of us.
It does, and it just flows perfectly. But cleaning the crystal ball that she's in, when she sneezes inside.
That was my second laugh out loud.
Oh my gosh, I was just. It was too funny. No, but when they were talking about they were going to take a break because it was a union thing. Like it's almost
the Muppets.
Like the Muppets. But that's the part they did so well is they brought in the regular Muppet humor into the Haunted Mansion. It's like they married it perfectly to give this new story, but with some of their old laughs.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like every single thing funny about this is 100% Muppets and how the Muppets used to be and how the Muppets truly should be, and they are. And they had this vehicle of the Haunted Mansion and all these wonderful details and this fun story and Madame Leota Pigota to insert all this on top of into pure perfection. Like it's exactly that. Like all the jokes, the humor, like Miss Piggy saying, this is the longest clip or whatever I have in this dang special, and they put me in a fishbowl. Like that's like talking to the camera off, whatever, or those guys talking about having a union break because she's told them to stop playing the music or whatever. So for the scene, like having the Electric Mayhem like in their little hippiness be the guys floating up in the air. I guess who else would it be? It doesn't make any sense for it to be anybody else. But like all their characters, just like the way they react with her again, like Janice being like, "Oh, like it's a union thing or whatever," and I don't know, that sounds like a break to me. Like it's just like absolute perfection putting those guys in there, and Miss Piggy sneezing at the end when she's just
priceless.
Yeah. And so the lady, so in that scene, which we talked about this on our other Haunted Mansion when we talked about Haunted Mansion before. So in this scene though, at the very end, so Miss Piggy calls over Kimmy, as Miss Piggy would say, Kimmy. Yes. And the lady that comes in the Haunted Mansion maid uniform, she comes and she cleans Piggy's fishbowl magic ball, and that's Kim Irving, which is the lady whose mom was Leota Toombs, which is the face.
That's who she was.
Yes. Her mom is Leota Toombs, who is the face in the ball in the Haunted Mansion.
In the actual attraction.
In the actual attraction.
Oh my gosh.
So she's also now an Imagineer who's done so many amazing things and worked on so many awesome things at Walt Disney World and Disneyland. And so she's in this special as the maid that comes and cleans Miss Madame Pigota's
That is ball. Fantastic. I didn't realize that was her. I did not realize it was her. So what an amazing
tie-in to, like, and of course they'd have to have her in this special.
And to come and pay homage to her mother in that way, like, it's so fantastic. It's so fantastic.
So, and once Kimmy finishes washing her begrudgingly, because I think Miss Piggy probably gets her to polish her ball multiple times a day, Miss Piggy then sneezes in it. For goodness sakes, or whatever she says.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny. It was so funny.
But like, just as so Gonza and Pepe gets, like, they walk through a door. When they walk through that door, I laughed out loud the second time I watched it. That's when Pepe is stuck to the door and he says, "Peel me." But like, just like the ride, like they go through that door and they're in this room with Madame Pigota, and then they're out of the room, right? Like, it's really just like traveling through. There's really no rhyme or reason necessarily to why they needed to go through that room. It doesn't play part of the story, but it's part of the attraction, and so they had to go through this room.
They had to go through it
just for the sake of going through this room. So
it's and then the next part, they actually do end up in the ballroom, right?
I think, well, at this point, they do go into the ballroom because they have the ballroom first. I got my little note. I made. Oh,
look at you made some notes.
They have the ballroom scene because then it's to follow is the scene with Constance, or is that right? Constance. So,
yeah.
So yeah, but the ballroom
scene
awesome.
Is awesome. There's lots of Muppets in there. They're dancing. They're telling jokes. The only detail that I really noticed that I picked up on from the ride is that the hidden Mickey on the table is at the opposite end of the table.
Oh no, I didn't even notice the hidden Mickey. I didn't even look for that
in the plates. So normally in the attraction, as you go into the ballroom, on the on the table at the last place setting on the left is usually a hidden Mickey in plates in the attraction.
Right.
In the Muppets, it's the first plate instead of the last.
Interesting. I did not even think to look for that because in this scene, it's like they leave. They're coming on, like it's just like the attraction. They're coming down the hallway, looking over into the room, and they kind of Sweetums is driving them on, pushing them on the cart, and they kind of fall into the room, right?
Right.
Like at a certain point. But this scene, this ballroom scene, is an homage to the actual Muppet Show. Like, it absolutely is. So. It's,
okay.
It is. So when they get into this room, Kermit shows up again, and Kermit's the MC. And if you it's totally amazing. So Ralph shows up and plays the piano, but there's different. So when, like, at one point, Gonzo and Pepe come in, like they show the ballroom and stuff's happening, and then Gonzo and Pepe kind of drop in to the scene, but they are all in there dancing, and they've actually recreated the ballroom scene that they had in all the episodes of the Muppet Show, or the early episodes of the Muppet Show. Do 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 do, and they would have all. So it would be a scene in the Muppet Show, and they'd be all dancing around, and they'd be telling and cracking jokes at each other. So like. It was called At the Dance, that scene in the Muppet Show. So they'd be mismatched coupled, like a lady dressed up, and then like a monster or something. And they've got Wayne and Wanda. So Wayne and Wanda are two Muppets that were in the Muppet Show that would always do skits, and they would like sing. So they'd be like, Wayne and Wanda is going to do row, row, row your boat. And then Wayne and Wanda would start singing row, row, row your boat, and then the boat would sink. Like every time Wayne and Wanda did a skit, they were going to try to like do a song together, and then disaster happened. So Wayne and Wanda are dancing, and then they have like just the jokes, like, you know, the two are like, they're saying, oh, dancing, you make me feel like I'm dancing on a cloud, or dancing with no shoes on, or whatever. And they're like, you don't have feet because they're ghosts or whatever, right? Like, so they're cracking those jokes to each other while they're doing the dancing, which is exactly, it is an homage to that scene in the Muppet Show. And then Fozzie comes out and does, because every Muppet Show, Fozzie does his shtick.
His stick, yep.
The Statler and Waldorf come over in a dune buggy, which makes the best.
I could have fallen off the couch.
They float over in a dune buggy.
In a dune buggy. Like, come on.
Absolutely.
Like, come on. And then what about the portraits that draw?
Yeah, and then they just draw. They start drawing skits of each other.
There's two portraits in the actual attraction where the ghosts come out of the portraits and then draw their guns, like their weapons, on each other. But in this one, they come out and they go draw, and then they both have sketch pads and they start drawing. Oh, I laughed at that. I laughed at the dances, at the jokes there, and then Fozzie.
And then Fozzie comes out and he's the Hatbox Ghost.
Yeah.
But he's telling his Waka Waka jokes, but he doesn't say Waka Waka. He says something different. So they kind of made it like Haunted Mansion style, because he's the Hatbox. So he says Haka 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 or whatever the heck that he says. So he comes out and he does his show, Statler and Waldorf boo him. Like, this is obvious it's the Muppet Show. And at the end, the song turns into the Muppet Show. Like, it's the exact song, and they've changed the words to the Muppet Show to end that scene.
Oh, I gotta watch
It's
that
the
again.
best.
Like that. So, see, some of these details.
I did not even see the dishes. It didn't even dawn on me at all to look to see if those dishes were on the table or what it actually looked like. Looked like the Haunted Mansion.
You were focused on the Muppet details, and I was focused on the attraction details.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, they married perfectly.
Yeah.
Especially the one where she says, my friends are coming over to have me for dinner. And he goes, awkward.
How awkward. Awkward. The turkey. The turkey.
Oh.
Like in these scenes with the Muppets, like there are lots of old Muppets and Muppets that are from the Muppet Show. There's some new Muppets. Like they have the I don't know what his name was, the one weird Muppet from the Muppets. The Muppets TV show, the one that was like The Office. I can't remember what that guy's name is. They have Walter in there. They have like the lawyer that keeps showing up in the new Muppets now. Like, so they have some new characters that the people that have just started watching the Muppets would like. But they've got like all the old Muppets, and the fact that they have like Wayne and Wanda, and they've recreated some of the like that little skit from like. Of course they would. Like, it makes whoever like. They're Muppet lovers and sure,
Haunted Mansion lovers.
Yeah, like I think the Muppet Studio had a lot of control over this to make it be what it needs to be. Or maybe they would have said no, like they would have threw in the towel and been like, get lost. We're not whatever. I don't know.
So after that room, after the ballroom is when they introduce Constance.
Yeah, so in the ballroom, they're trying to... The ghosts are trying to convince Gonzo that he should be the next ghost.
The 1000th ghost.
Yes. And then I think he gets to the point where he's like, yeah, okay, no, we're out of here. And they're ready to leave. And then Pepe, as Pepe should...
Because Pepe's a ladies man.
You know, he falls in love
with Constance Hatchaway.
Yes.
Who has famously in the Haunted Mansion murdered all her husbands.
Yes.
And they did beautifully with that. You could see her heartbeat. The way that you can in the attraction, all her husbands, who are of course all Muppets, come out as ghosts, and they're trying to talk about, well, why is she doing this and why is she doing that, and when she's saying to him, I want to smother you in kisses, I want to drown you in like she's perfect. She's perfect.
Well, and I think too, like that, like there's probably people that have been on the ride that like kind of wonder like what that scene is. Like you go through the attic and you see her and it's creepy and she's there glowing and whatever, but you really have to like go on it a lot of times or have a Haunted Mansion fan like point out some of the details. But it was like that's probably, I think, the best Haunted Mansion part of the whole thing. Like the fact that they went into so much detail with like that little attic scene. Like, sure, it's the same attic scene. It's just like a little corner where they have it, but they have so many details. Like
she had all her pearls.
Like the frames and the pictures of them, and the fact that, and then of course, in the fact that the ghosts pop out and they're a variety of Muppets.
Yes.
From a penguin to Walter, and they're all, talking and doing their little wisecracks about, being, because she's killed them and they're still, and they're still stuck in that house. They're ghosts in that house. Like the details is amazing. Like I just love that they put so much effort into like putting her into the story, which of course they had to, because we are going through a ride through of this attraction,
of the whole attraction.
They had to have it, but like. It's really interesting that they made it such a big part of the story and did such an amazing job,
Yeah, they
animating
really did.
it and telling the story a little bit better for people that might not know. They just ride through that ride and just because it's really the creepiest part of the ride, really, like especially with.
Well, when you go through and you see all her husbands and all her wedding portraits and
the new way
she's standing there with her hatchet.
Yes, and especially with the technology they have in the attraction now with like her face, the way that her face is animated and her heart and her chest glowing and all that stuff, like it's kind of creepy. So
yeah. So now Pepe is going to marry Constance.
Yes, and she's actually, she's put him under a spell. Like, Pepe's...
Yes.
He's obviously under a spell because he's also a chicken. So, like, you think he'd put 2 and 2 together, you know, and figure out that she's, like, killed him. But he's too far... He's too far mesmerized, and she keeps her glowing eyes at him, so he doesn't know what to do. He's under her spell.
Yes.
And yes, he is going to marry her. But at this point, like, this scene kind of goes back and forth with the actual, like, Gonzo part. Like, it's great that that's all about Pepe and almost getting married, but Gonzo is in a different creepy room, right?
Yes.
Because Pepe's too busy getting married, and he ends up following the candle, which the candelabra is awesome because that's like when you're in the Haunted Mansion and there's the hallway with the floating candle. That chair is in the dining room. Yep. I noticed that, but I didn't notice the plates. But
the clock is in there too.
Yep. But I kept thinking like that the candle kept reminding me of like Lumiere. Like, it looked more like,
really?
Like I was expecting him to like have a face on it and start talking at me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's
the candelabra from that stretching, that long hallway in the attraction.
So the candelabra brings him into another spooky room.
Yes.
And this is where he has to kind of, because the whole thing is that people go into this haunted mansion, they get lured in there somehow. I don't know if it's always this MacGuffin that does it to everybody, but they always get lured in there, and they get so afraid that they accept their fright, and then they have to stay there, right? Like, they can't come to terms with what is the most fearful thing for them in their life or whatever, right? So then they get stuck there. So this is Gonzo has to come to terms with what he needs to come to terms with because he doesn't want to be stuck there.
Right.
Is that how that's
a good synopsis. Yeah. So this is him facing that
his fear, because his biggest fear. His
biggest fear, because he starts out by saying he's not afraid of anything. He's not afraid. Like, he
isn't afraid of he isn't afraid of jumping into like a pool of sharks that have.
Well, he says that, like, I've been shot out of a cannon, I've skydived without a parachute, like, he's not afraid. But then in this room is when he realizes that he does have a fear.
Yes.
And
I was going to say, it's not jumping into a pool of sharks that have, like, that have knives or something or whatever on top of their sharp teeth. He's afraid of what? You could say it.
Never seeing his friends again. Oh, he misses his friends. And he goes through like this whole transformation of what his life would be like in the future when he grows old, and his friends are having the party and they miss him, and he goes through like this whole transformation.
Because he went to this party instead of hanging out with his friends. Because he always wants to be the great Gonzo. Like, he's always trying to be the biggest, like the best, like, doing all of his crazy stunts. Like, how is he needs to be known forever as the great Gonzo, and that's all that he really seems to strive to do. And
in typical fashion, like, it's a funny episode, like, it's so great, all these great reasons, but for kids watching this is Gonzo admitting that he does a whole bunch of things because he just wants people to think he's great. And he just wants people to like him. And the truth of the matter is his friends like him anyway. He doesn't have to do that stuff. So there's a great little lesson in there for kids too, which I love. And really, adults.
And really, like, Kermit gives the best advice. He always does. He's everybody's best friend. And Kermit said to him at the beginning, like, Gonzo, you don't need to do those things to be great. We already think you're great. You're already great.
Yep. Aww. I can just, they can hear it on the podcast, but they can't see how big you're smiling about this.
Because Kermit's awesome.
So Gonzo realizes.
Yes, Gonzo
and then
realizes.
The doors unlock. So he's free to go.
Yes.
But since
then he's been told that Pepe's not leaving because Pepe's getting married, and then she's gonna dunk him into she's gonna cut his head off and dunk him into some shrimp sauce is what her plan is.
And if he wants to leave, he's got to get out before sunrise. Yeah. And the clock's a ticking, but he's not leaving without his friend Pepe.
That's right, because he's got to. After all that, he's got to get Pepe out of there too.
And that, Carrie, okay, so I'm not sure if it's at this point or at what point in the episode. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was back in the dining room when the ride broke down.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. When they stopped it, please remain seated. We'll resume shortly. And it's because the Haunted Mansion, for people that don't, like, in order to get people on and off this attraction who have mobility issues and things like that, they have to stop it. So it's not uncommon to be on the Haunted Mansion and have it stop or pause for 15, 20 seconds while somebody's getting loaded on and off. So the fact that they wrote that in, like, yeah, I was in love. Okay, well, anyway, so that was earlier and I forgot to mention it. But now we're on the part where Gonzo is going to save Pepe.
Yes, he's got to save Pepe. And this is a part that I thought was pretty cool because when we talked about it on the Haunted Mansion episode, when we were talking about how they get out of the Haunted Mansion. So anyway, so Pepe. So
wait. So you noticed that, did you?
But listen,
did you notice that?
No,
yeah.
Let me.
Okay, go on.
Let me talk.
Okay, go.
So this is like I was so excited when I saw that. First of all, but Pepe's got to go and find. Gonzo's got to go find Pepe, so he's got to get up to the attic.
Yes.
And he gets up to the attic. Towards the attic, he jumps at the chandelier to kind of swing into the attic area. He falls down. And when he's looking down, there's like a big monster on the ground that's going to eat him up. The monster eats him up, and in good old great Gonzo fashion, what did he have? Why did he? I'm trying to think of. Did he have something? Oh, he had the candle. That's right.
Yes,
he
was
had the jumping
candle
with the candelabra, and he fell into this big monster's mouth, like way into the ground to get eaten alive. And he had the candle, and in great Gonzo fashion, I guess because he's probably burnt the monster's mouth. The monster spits him out, and he shoots out of the monster's mouth like he does out of his cannons in all of his Disney or Muppet movies. He shoots out and gets up to the attic to be able to save Pepe, and pretty much just kind of has a little battle with Constance. And what happens is they fall out of the window. They don't die because that's how you say that's how we die.
But that's it. They fall out of the window. They wrote that in.
I was so excited.
As soon as you saw it,
excited. I was like,
knew. I was like, out the window.
I didn't say that I didn't say back then that I didn't think you were right. I just wanted to have the opposite opinion of it. But I was so excited. Like, I was like, yes. I'm like, but I was thinking, and then I was like, of course they went out the window. Like, how else were they going to get out of here? Exactly. Like, I was like talking to myself going, like, I was so excited, but then I'm like, Carrie, come on. Like, how else could this have happened? Yep. So they fall out of the window in the attic.
Into the graveyard.
Like,
how perfect.
And it's the best. Then it's pretty much over. No.
Carrie, it was like I can't even express how much I loved it. Like, yeah. I really, really loved it. As a Haunted Mansion fan, it was everything I could have hoped for. And of course I love the Muppets. I do. I'm not a Muppet crazy like you, but I like them. But I gotta tell you, now I'm like, oh my gosh, they have to do more of this. Carrie, why is this the only time they've ever done something like this? Can they do other things? Is Disney going to realize that this is a perfect pairing and they should do this for other attractions? What do you think?
We could stick them on everything.
They could put the Muppets on It's a Small World. They could put them on Peter Pan. They could totally go through, put them on the Country Bears. Like, they could do little specials of the Muppets. Now, Jim Henson's son was in this.
Yeah, he was a couple of Muppets. I think Muppets
which is so fantastic.
Well, he's always been part of, like, his children have always been part of the Muppet Studios ever since then. I think the way that they, like, the just everything about it Muppet wise was absolutely amazing. Like, I think Muppet fans, like, I always have, like, I always look at the bright side with Muppets because I know I've said over and over again, I'm just grateful they're still around. And you know, even if I don't love everything, like, I still try to see the sunny side of it to kind of keep spreading the love. But, like, this is amazing. And I'd be interested to see, like, am I just a crazy person that just, like, loves everything that's Muppets? I would love to hear what other, like,
yes,
people that love Muppets way, way more than me and know everything about Muppets, I would love to hear what they think about it and if they feel the same, that it was such a good job. Like, I felt like, and if you...
I'd love to hear what Terry Hardin thinks.
that would be good. But I think, I think the way that it was written, all that was it was just perfect. And I also thought, like, maybe because it's attraction, it was like, I wonder if, like, did they do this with the Muppet Studios and the right Muppet people, and did they do it with the did they get
the right Imagineers,
the right Imagineers to, like, work with it, and I think
it was just magic.
I was like, maybe I'm being silly because I'm thinking this Imagineer thing because it is an attraction, like, they're doing something with something, like, Imagineers made this, that's why you feel that way. But I was like, I was wondering, like, did they have a part in building this special too, because it definitely feels like, and it's because of the details, I think, like, yes, that's why I think that
they didn't just gloss over stuff. Like, everything had a purpose. Like,
they made this with the intricate, you know, like, looking at everything as if when an Imagineer builds something. And even though they just, you know, they had to look at the Haunted Mansion and make it Muppets or whatever, like, it's just like the level of detail and intricacy with how they transformed it seemed like it was truly, like, and it's all digital, I'm sure, it's all, you know, whatever, but it's like they put awesome. that much effort into making it just right, like, to pay homage to the Haunted Mansion, and then just to put the right amount of Muppet into it. And at the very end, like, I love the part where the Great MacGuffin, like, so at the very end, Gonzo gets to see the ghost host, and the ghost host kind of says, you know, Gonzo, you've made it through. You can go home. And then he turns into the Great MacGuffin, and I love that he gives Gonzo that card that says, "Gonzo, you are the great," or whatever, and then it says from MacGuffin. And I thought, like, and see, Gonzo, no, like, you know, it's just sort of saying, it just wraps it all up.
It does.
Gonzo is great, you know.
Gonzo is great. Yes,
it's good enough. just being you is good enough, but also, you know, that his magician idol says, you know,
yes,
that he's great.
And then to throw the hitchhiking ghosts in at the very end.
Oh my!
Like,
and I was
like cheering at the TV, going, yes.
And I don't know why I was so excited that they were exactly the hitchhiking ghosts. Like, I think I kept forgetting that it was, like, what it really was, but I was excited that it was the hitchhiking ghost. Like, they could have looked different. They could have Muppified them, which, you know, like, but they were the hitchhiking ghosts. But they were
the real, I'm doing air quotes, but the real hitchhiking ghosts.
Yeah.
It was, like, Carrie, I would be so interested to hear. I want people to send us messages and let us know what they thought of this, because we're Haunted Mansion fans and Muppet fans, so... do we think it's that great just because we're those kind of fans? Or is it really that great? Like, I want to hear what people have to say.
Yeah, I don't think we would ever know ourselves because we're too in deep.
we're in too deep. But yes, it's absolutely phenomenal.
At the very end, when they have when they close it off, and then it has the rainbow. It says the Muppets Haunted Mansion and the rainbow, and just like the Muppet movie, the way that the Muppet movie ends, like, just
perfection.
It's the best. Yeah, and I wonder, like, the things that I wondered then. So, like, I kept saying to myself, like, I was like, it's like an Imagineer, and the Muppets made this, and then I kept thinking, like, but what if you didn't know what if you'd never been on the Haunted Mansion before? Like, what would you think of this? Like, the Muppets, like, almost like. Of all the things the Muppets have done, like, I think if you've seen the Muppets, you know that is Muppet humor. Like, that's the thing. The way that it was done was that whether you had watched the Muppet movie or you had watched, like, the Muppet Christmas Carol or whatever you love from the Muppets, like, when you watch that, it feels like that. Like, it truly feels like the way that the Muppets produce something. The way that the jokes, everything about it
felt familiar, like Muppet familiar.
The way that it should be. So I think, you know, you would watch it as a non-Haunted Mansion fan and be like you would if you get the Muppet part of it. But like,
Right.
I wonder if you know nothing about the Haunted Mansion, what you think about it. If you would just think it's a funny Muppet thing, like, would you wonder, like, why are they telling this weird? Like, why is there a pig with her head in a
and the band, like, why? What's the significance of the band? And,
like, why? Yeah, why all of a sudden is the Electric Mayhem ghost hanging above her head and all that stuff, right? Like, I wonder if it would if the story would make sense, because we see it truly as a ride through. If you've never been on the ride,
it'll be interesting. I want to hear. So I really want people to let us know what they think of this. I'm in love. I'm going to watch it 10 more times. It was so fantastic. I'm going to go back now and look for all the details that you pointed out. But yes, it was awesome. We couldn't not review it.
No, for sure. Absolutely. I think it was amazing.
Yes.
Happy.
I know, me too.
I was trying not to get get too excited about it, because I didn't know what it was really going to be like.
Yeah. And then it was like all your dreams came true.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So I was looking, like, it's fairly new. Like, it's only been like since yesterday. There's not a lot. I can't wait till more people have watched it and people have reviewed it. Like, I can't wait to see what the Muppet fan sites say about it. Like, to see if I'm a Looney Tune or if they feel the same way as me. Like, I can't wait for all of that stuff. Like, I read there was a review and it was really like fluffy. Like, they've been talking about how it pays like homage to the Haunted Mansion exactly and Muppets exactly, and then but they're saying like, oh, they talk about their ride vehicle stalls in it, and I'm like, that's just a little bit like the person that wrote the article I don't think is a Haunted Mansion fan like we are. So like, I saw a couple of reviews, but yeah, they didn't really talk too in depth. So I can't wait till the Haunted Mansion nerds and the Muppet nerds get talking about it to see what they have to say. So
we'll have to talk about those reviews when they start coming in. I'm sure over the next month or two, there'll start to be lots of reviews come out. Dum 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 dum. Too many dums. Carrie, this was fun. Too. This was fun. This was so fun to talk about this. And it's funny because people were asking us have we ever thought of doing like movie reviews and things like that. So this is kind of like our first review of like a movie. It's not a movie, but like small little. Yeah,
don't know
it's
how
our
we
first
did.
one.
We didn't know what to do. We just
we knew we wanted to talk about it. We had to talk about it. We were both so excited. So.
And what kind of format do you do when you do those things? Like, we kind of like talked through it and then pointed out all the stuff we thought was awesome.
Because we were so excited. But what kind of format is there? It's the Carrie and Fran format. I don't know. We make it up.
I think hopefully if people watched it and what we talked about, if people have watched it, it'll make a little bit of sense as we talk through it.
Yeah, they can let us know. I'm sure people will let us know if it was crazy or made sense or they stopped listening. Well, if they've stopped listening, they won't know to send us a note. Anyway, Carrie, we're at this part of the podcast.
Oh, I was just thinking about all the Muppet things I didn't get to say.
What, you had more to say?
Oh, I could talk about it for another hour.
But Carrie, the episode is less than an hour. And we've been talking for like an hour. No, the Muppet thing is I'm saying the Muppet thing was less than an hour, and we've had
so many good Muppet things about it.
What? Give me a tidbit. No, what are we missing? No. What are we missing? No, give us a tidbit. Just a little one. Just a little one.
No, I'm done. No, I'm done. You missed. No, I'm done. There's too many. There's too many to pick. But is there good tidbits, like details that people need to know? I think we covered the big ones. I think it's more like the nerdy things, like the different old Muppets and stuff like that were pretty cool. And they fell out the window because, that's part of the attraction where you fall out the window and die. But I'm telling you, I was like, yes. Like, as soon as I saw them fall out the window, I'm like, yes. That's what I was like, oh my goodness, like that, that's what they had to do. And it's like, and again, that's when you sort of think like, that's the truth. Like, that's what the Disney fans believe. And so you need to put it in there. So I love it. And at the end, when she's at the window when they're leaving, and she's like, "Hurry back!" Yes, it was so awesome. So good. Anyways, okay. My pixie dust. Hurry back. Yes. What's your pixie dust this week? I got a couple of surprise packages in the mail this week. From some friends. Oh, nice. So I got 2 of them. And it was You have 2 friends, or you got 2 packages? I got 2 packages. Well, I have 3 friends because you're my friend, right?
You got 2 packages from
and
2
people
friends.
know I talk about Glenda, so I have 4 friends.
Okay. So 2 packages from 2 separate friends.
So this week I'm waiting for my phone to come in the mail. Of course, I've got to order like cords and phone cases and things from Amazon. So like stuff's coming in, and then poof, I've got these 2 packages that I didn't know were coming. And my friend Kimberly sent this really cool shirt that has Edna Modes all over it, which is really cool. It's
such a cool shirt.
So I am going to probably try to wear it to work and see if anybody noticed that there's Edna Modes all over it. So that was awesome.
Are you bringing it to Florida?
I don't know. Maybe. I have to figure it out in my outfits. So that was totally cool and unexpected. Like, I never thought that I would have a shirt. And it's okay. It's not a t-shirt. It's like a nicer shirt. Like, it's a shirt you could wear to work with a little sweater over top of it. It's pretty cool. And you can wear it to work. And then Leslie, my friend Leslie, sent me some Haunted Mansion washi tape.
Washi tape is creative people's tape. It's like Scotch tape, but like it has like stuff on it.
Yeah, like you use it to like label
You
things.
say washi tape, like people all know what washi tape is. Until like
some people will.
But you just taught me what washi tape is. I didn't know what washi tape is.
So anyways, washi tape you use for crafting, use it in your journals, like in your schedules, like you decorate things with it. It's like they're great for like if you have just plain washi tape or light washi tape, you can put it on like jars and label things. Like you can peel it on and peel it off. It doesn't leave residue. It's like a very amazing tape for crafting and for other things. Anyway, she sent me some Haunted Mansion washi tape.
Oh my gosh,
which I have then put Haunted Mansion tape on my headphones, as you can see. I've put Haunted Mansion washi tape across the bottom of my laptop.
It's like when I got my Cricut, you got washi tape.
I've put it in a few spots, and there's a lot of it, so I'm going to save it, but I did want to use a little bit of it. So
it made your headphones look really cool.
It made them spiffy, eh?
Yeah.
So I'm going to put a little bit of washi tape, Haunted Mansion washi tape, on a few things. I put a big Pixie Dust fan sticker on the back of my new phone case, and if I would have known, I could have probably put some washi tape on there too.
But I don't
think I can make it work.
Now I feel bad because now you've put Pixie Dust fan sticker on your phone and I haven't.
Yeah, that's what happens when you can't get a funky cool case. You got to make do.
Well,
I had to craft one up.
Yeah, but you put your pop socket in a very odd place on your phone.
I just put it on for the sake of...
You put it at the bottom of your phone.
Just so that I can wrap my fingers around and I don't drop it.
Well, yeah, but why wouldn't you put it in the middle of your phone?
Because the phone is so big, my hands can't wrap around it and hold it. I need to have it at the bottom. If I put it in the middle, I can't... Because the phone is so big, I can't wrap... I can't hold the phone and hold the pop socket at the same time. And I am not putting faith in the pop socket of this new expensive phone.
Well, see, I have my pop socket near the top of my phone. Like it's like 3/4 of the way up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I don't have it there.
Well, that's why I can't put the sticker on mine. Because it would
I'm going to have the cool phone and you're going to have the boring phone.
Look at you, aren't you?
So.
Well, that was nice of both Leslie and Kimberly to send you those.
Thank you, ladies, if you're listening. I think they might listen.
Yeah, I think they both listen.
Thank you. It brightened up my week. It's very busy and at work and lots to do. And when you get surprises like that.
Made you smile.
They make you feel special and make you smile.
That's so nice.
What about your pixie dust? Did you get any presents from anybody?
I did, actually. So I have a birthday that's happening, and my sister and nephew got me a new pair of shoes. And usually I'm very brand loyal, but some of the people at work make fun of me for this, that once I find a brand of something, I just stick with it. Like my cars are all Fords. Like I'm just like, there's no moving the brand, right? Like once I get Skechers, I have Skechers shoes. That's all I have. They're all Skechers, but I'm trying this new brand. I can't remember. What are they called? They're called QC. And apparently they're like some kind of super duper running shoe. I'm not going to run in them. But they're supposed to be good for running, which then I'm hoping translates into good for walking. So
They're
I
very
got
light
some
too, aren't they?
Yeah,
They're
they're
pretty
very
spiffy.
light. They're very spiffy. They're very comfy. So let's see. Can't wait to try them out.
That's a nice present. Because I think, for trying, like, they're not the cheapest runners, I would expect. And it's also, like, you wouldn't, for that reason, too, it's a great gift for you because you probably might not want to try them yourself, but, like, they kind of splurged and got them for you. They're like the Cadillac of running shoes.
Yeah.
So it's a great...
It was very nice.
The only thing is, if you really love them, then you're on the hook to buy these spiffy shoes. So make sure they last to your next birthday. Maybe they'll buy you another pair your next birthday. But maybe they'll be life-changing.
Maybe. You never know.
So that's good.
Maybe I'll start running. This was fun. That's kind of funny. Well, thank you, Carrie. It was fun talking about that. Everybody, please let us know what you thought of the Muppets Haunted Mansion. And if you get a chance, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts if you can.
Mana mana.
Thanks for listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode.
Make sure you're following us on your favorite podcast player so you'll get a new episode every week. And find us on social media too. We'd love to hear from you.
Till next time, remember, you are never too old to be young. Chase your dreams and design your own happily ever after.